What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, it is Tuesday night. Obviously, it seems like every night we go live, we get breaking news happening. It's awesome. We're not going to talk about pretty much any of it because we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. The Stephon Diggs, if you want an in-depth dive on the Stephon Diggs stuff with Dynasty Points, you can tune in for the Saturday Dynasty Points Market Report. Andy and I will cover it. We'll talk about the Russ Wilson stuff. We'll have you covered all the way on Saturday. See a bit of lay of the land, if you would, especially when we get a little bit more details on the shifting of the league that happened today. Very odd that it happened on this here Tuesday. That being said, fun show today. Obviously, Dynasty rookie picks are a hot button topic, and everyone assumes that you should just hold those picks and make your picks. Well, today we're going to look at the other end. We're going to look at pick hoarding. We're going to talk about tiering picks with players to get a better understanding of who to trade these picks for, and if you should, what kind of teams should be making these moves is obviously very important as well. And we're going to give you trades to make. Right now, we are going to use Dynasty Daddy and look at trades that have been made in real leagues by real people. We're going to look at some players that we ourselves are targeting, and so you guys should be targeting as well. That sounds like a great time. And oh yeah, 5 for 5, the greatest fantasy football game of all time on YouTube only this year. So if you're listening on Spotify on Wednesday or whenever you're listening, head over to the YouTube channel if you want to catch me winning another round of 5 for 5. So Jacob is with us.
I've decided Tom only gets half points this week.
Yeah, it's not happening. So, well, the other guys might need it.
-10, -10.
Yeah. You got that right. -25 points. We've got, obviously, Jacob, who you've heard now, at Jacob Sanderson. Ryan Heath joining us as always. Ryan J_Heath, and back from the depths of what shan't be named, Lucas Gilbert is back at L Gilbert FF. It feels like, Lucas, you're just a guest because you've been gone for so long, but we're very happy to have you back. A lot of changes for you in your life. Bought a house, getting it organized. That's why the setup isn't complete yet. Big changes. So happy for you to that, but my Lord, am I happy you are back, because I can't timestamp things for shit. And when I tell you the feedback from the YouTube comments talking about how badly we need timestamps, they are so happy that you are back, because all of us have too much ADHD going on to be responsible for breaks and timestamps. So shout out.
Dude, it's also
here's the thing. We started out friends. It was cool, but it was all pretend.
The band is back.
I wanted to see how far he would take that. You kind of gave up.
No, do you want me to sing?
No, please, no. We're gonna.
That's one of my karaoke songs, man.
I really thought you would have the balls
I love
to
it.
finish that.
Please, like we're gonna
spoke for itself. I decided to be more understated this year.
Okay. I think you used to give us like a riff off every couple of episodes. You give us a full on performance.
You ever hear me say?
Yeah, our viewer. I was just about to say our listener count has gone up since that hasn't been a thing. So maybe that's a reason.
I think we're getting overexposed. You know, we got to.
Some people say karaoke episode. We've got Yes Please karaoke. So maybe I'm wrong and I don't know how to read the room. Wouldn't be the first time I've been accused of that. Let's be real. Lots of things to get excited about. Not just that baseball finally has its actual opening day here this week on Thursday, which I am excited about, even though my team is terrible. But trading in Dynasty, Jacob, is always the topic. Like, it is what people fiend for. Trade. Should I trade for this? Who should I trade for? Should I trade this pick for this running back? These wide receivers? Should I just get to? It's all day, every day, even in our Discord, which you can get to for free in the comments, which you should do. plug there. Let's talk about you've actually talked about this a lot, how you want to store value to a point and turn that value into points. Let's run this down because I think pick hoarding is kind of a fallacy. I think at some point you absolutely should cash in. So let me ask you the question on the screen. Should you cash in, and when should a team cash in?
Generally speaking, I'm not trading away picks right now on most teams. Unless I get an offer that I just think is way too good a value. But I'm not going in with the goal of doing that. And largely because when we get down to it, post rookie draft, I always write my rookie draft walkthrough. And really it's less of a rankings article and it's more of a, here are the guys that I really like that at their costs I want to have 2x exposure to or 3x exposure to. And so right now I just view the stash of rookie picks that I have available to me as my capital, kind of my putty to move around and mold what I want it to be to get what I want out of this class. So I don't really desire to restrict myself and my ability to make those kinds of moves in March, because the reality is, if there's rookies that I really want access to in this class, once we know where they're drafted, where the landing spot is, where the ADP is going to shake out, it's just going to be easier to maneuver your way through the draft board using existing rookie picks in this class than it's going to be to trade players for those picks, or it's going to be to use futures to trade for those picks. It's going to be a lot easier to move these picks. You can almost always sell a pick during your rookie draft. It's a lot harder if you pull the trigger on a deal to move away from your pick to then turn that player back into a pick if you want to later. So to me, I would view it as the sense of not only do you want to be winning the deal, but you want to have a vision in your mind that the player you trade your pick for today is going to be the best opportunity you have to move that pick between now and the time that you're actually in your rookie draft.
I think it's a great point. I think you're right in that you don't have to do it right now, but I tell you, these pro days, there is an absolute buzz to get some of these trades done, especially when you look at Dynasty ADP and such. I think you made some great points here. Ryan, anything to add?
Yeah, so I guess I took this question a little differently, or I want to take it in a slightly different direction. When it comes to hoarding picks, what a pick is in Dynasty is it's a store of value, right? It is pretty much the lowest risk asset that you can have on your books as a Dynasty manager. That pick isn't going anywhere. It will convey eventually. It will eventually be on the clock, and you'll have a range of players available to you, right? And that's what makes it nice. If I trade for the 104 today, then, and even if right now I have in my mind, the 104 is Ted McMillan, if the landing spots shake out differently, if Ted McMillan falls in the draft, there's going to be an alternative there available for me at 104. The pick 104 itself is relatively insulated from whatever can happen over the next month or so. That's not the case with any individual rookie. This is why we tell you not to assign your picks to rookies mentally early in the process, right? And it's also not the case with any specific veteran, right? Most of these veterans, even if we have more information about them, they aren't going to have quite the value insulation of picks, because any veteran can tear their ACL and they lose multiple rounds of Dynasty ADP, right? So I'm thinking on my teams that picks are the safe store of value, and using the pick to either draft a rookie or alternatively to trade it away for a veteran, that is kind of exchanging that value for some potential points, right? And in the case of a rookie, that could be a very wide range of potential points, of potential value outcomes in the future. For a veteran, we have more information. It might be a narrower outcome, right? You're probably raising your floor in terms of the points you're going to get out of that player if you're trading it for a veteran. And in terms of, so now it's like, okay, well, Ryan, these are all these paths in front of me. What do I do? Do I use the pick? Do I trade the pick? Do I trade it for a veteran? It depends on your roster, right? Your roster is going to tell you, and also your league's market, probably just as or more significantly, is going to tell you what the best use of those picks are. If you have collected this incredibly high value roster with all of these picks, yeah, the most efficient use of them is probably some combination of trading for veterans to score points this year and using the picks to hopefully create a wide range of outcomes for value in the future by selecting a rookie, right? Or alternatively, you can just trade for future picks and continue rolling that value forward and letting it slowly grow. So there's like multiple different paths available to you. And it largely, again, just depends on the value of your roster and what your goal is. Are you trying to compete this year? Are you in a place where you can compete this year or not? All of these answers are going to determine whether you should be hoarding picks or whether pick hoarding is a fallacy.
I think that, like you said, your team is going to tell you, but I think market tells you more, because I think there are ways that even as a team that, you're not top 3, which is obviously the target for adding as much talent as you can. I think there's a world where even a quote unquote rebuilding team should be still trading your picks if there's a market for it. Look, it doesn't happen often, but if you were to go and search the consolidation sites, it would tell you that, you could trade a 104 or a 105, even a 106 for like a Devonta Smith and if there was a team that's like, I'm not really good right now, but I think Devonta Smith is going to be, and you can get a deal done to go and get a player that is good, that's still going to hold some value and find a way to net something back as well. You should take those avenues. It's not a linear process to rebuild your team. Using picks to do so can be a massive boost. And when you look at what picks were valued at from, say, the start of the year to right now, you can see the increase. Lucas, you were talking to me about this before we went live.
Absolutely. So something, whenever you disappear for a couple of months, you come back and the dynasty landscape is absolutely completely different. Especially whenever we're looking at
since you've been gone.
And so I'm looking at right now, like we're talking like with the Russell Wilson signing today, that's already starting to shift some of the value for these picks. And the picks are going to continue to shift up until the day that they are actually used. And everybody here knows I'm the forever rebuilder. I love acquiring picks. I love making my picks in rookie drafts. But my best teams are whenever I'm not actually the one who's making those picks. Sure, stockpiling picks is great whenever you're rebuilding. We say all the time, picks don't score points for your teams. They don't count towards your max points for. You're able to get a better pick by doing that. But whenever you're actually getting ready to use them, if there's not a player that is very obvious that's going to be helping your team with that pick that you're going to be making, and your goal is to move off of the rebuilding tier, or even if you're still trying to rebuild, start to look to move that kind of pick for somebody who it's going to be more important for them to make that pick, or that team believes that's going to be more important for them to make that pick for that rookie. I'm not going to say there's infinite value in terms of what you can, acquire for that, but I do think that there is very ill-defined types of value to a lot of these picks, and it's going to be worth whatever that manager's willing to pay for that player that they believe is what's going to take them to the next level for those teams. So while it's awesome to have all of these picks, I think that there's even more value in not making those picks and being able to use them as other currency.
That's what I was going to mention. It's like there's a FOMO to not making those picks, right? There's the fear of missing out, which I think is very real. I think there's as much risk trading those picks away, trading a pick away and having that pick become an elite player, as there is that you hold that pick and your player is a complete dud, right? Like the risk, in my opinion, is greater that the player is going to be a dud than the player that you're acquiring that is good is going to be just that, is good. It's a comfortability with, and I'm not talking like, I'm not saying like go and trade that pick for somebody who's like Chris Olave, who people have been hoping will take the next step. I'm talking strictly in this case about moving up for legitimate difference makers. In this case, this is not every pick, right? Obviously you don't want to be sending like the 108 for like a Derrick Henry if your team's rebuilding. Like I think I'm going to say it here and now, but I just was assuming that didn't have to be clarified. But good to know. We have a question here that I think kind of ties in with this. DWalk325, who also says these fantasy points people may be my new Tuesday. Welcome. Stick with us. Stick around every Tuesday. We don't go anywhere. He says, can you honestly get to contention in 1 year? Does that change the approach? I've seen it.
Yeah.
So, Jacob?
Yeah, and this will tie in. We can just answer the other one at the same time. Dynasty Dave said, what do I do if I have a low value roster with several firsts? So really these two should be the same, or essentially the same question, which is if you have a high value roster, then you should try to get to contention in 1 year. That being said, I think you should try to do that as leanly as possible. So typically I'm not trying to sell all of my picks, to build the Monstars, because you're going to wind up, it's going to be counterproductive. If you start selling too much to go all in on 1 year, you're going to end up shorting your window on the back end. If you wait too long to push in your chips and contend, then you're just pissing away years on the front end for no reason. You ideally want to make moves that maximize the length of your window. So if you have the high value roster that you can contend in year one, like D-Walk was talking about, I think you want to look at your picks as a whole, not just this year's, but including your future picks and whatever other young assets you have on your roster, and go, how do I find a way to get my team to being top 3 value and top 3 contention in the current year? And how much of my future assets do I have to move to get there? And what's the most efficient path to do it? It's hard for me to say what the rule is. It's really just a matter of making that process decision based on what you have available to in your league. Answering Dynasty Dave's question, though, which is what if you have a low value roster with several firsts, definitely not trading them for players, with, maybe exceptions of some very slanted deals for very young players. What you're probably looking to do there is you're always going to have an easier time improving the value of your roster through quantity. It's just, if you think of it as like a bank account, and I use this analogy a lot. The more valuable an asset is, the less room it has to actually grow. So essentially what you're doing is if you invest in a lot of very high value players on a low value roster, you're putting a lot of money into these zero interest savings accounts. They're fairly safe accounts, but they have very little room for growth. You want to try to put as many of your assets as possible into very high variance options that have a lot of room to accrue value very, very quickly to improve your position. So in the context of a rookie draft coming up, you want to be trying to trade back when possible to try and get more shots in the second and third and fourth round to try and identify more players. And then ideally, you want to try and take advantage of the fact that you can't contend this year. And so future firsts are going to be, on average, as valuable to you as current firsts, because the difference in the production is not as meaningful to you. So, if you can take your 106 and trade that for a 2026 first and say an early second in this year, that's the kind of moves I'd be looking to try to make.
Yeah, and all you have to do is hit on a couple of those trade backs, and all of a sudden the team looks very different. Like Ferris says, I traded the 112 and the 2-1 for Rushy, Rice, and Tank Dell, and that 112 and 2-1 was BTJ and Ladd for the other team. That sucks. That's the downside to that. I've also done this, and it was in 2020 when I traded out of the Jonathan Taylor spot. I traded back and I drafted Jalen Reagor and Keyshawn Vaughn. So it's both ways. You trade the picks away and you can trade down. Like, that's why I said earlier, there's risk on both sides. It's partly, I'll say mostly driven by your market, which is what Ryan said, coming back to that. It's how much can you get for these players, and how heavily they're valued will kind of lean the direction you need to go to build these. Obviously, I'll even say you don't even want to get into a full picks only teardown. I think that's a terrible rebuild strategy, in my opinion. It's not something I ever really want to do unless I really made some mistakes. But that's a conversation for a whole different podcast. We didn't even get into something like that today. Anyone with anything else to add before we move on? I think we hit that.
No,
pretty
let's talk
well.
some players.
Players will be a little later. Players we're doing later.
Well, that's what I mean. Like who, like the picks of the players. Aren't we talking about like what picks and what players?
Yes.
Yeah.
So right down here on the screen, it's a trades to make now is when we're going to hit that. We got one.
Don't we have tiering picks of players? I'm staring at it.
Correct.
Right,
that's a different thing, Jacob. See, this is why, like when Jacob, I don't talk to Jacob all week.
I said players. The word players is right in front of me and it's next. What the fuck are you talking about?
We would have found out what it was if we weren't just like arguing about.
That's the other half.
My Tuesday's way more interesting with you.
You would
Oh
know
my goodness.
Like Jacob becomes a big shot, and all of a sudden he's questioned Tommy T's producing and show running abilities now that he himself is a showrunner. I am not getting usurped today. That's not what we're not. That being said, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about where we are tiering picks with players. We're going to talk about where they're kind of going in startup drafts. And then, Jacob, after that, we're going to parlay that into talking about trading picks for players. And we're going to use that to catapult us into 5 for 5. We're going to take a quick break. Be sure to stick with us. Now, I think it's very easy for Lucas. Sorry, I'm reading the private chat. I'm happy to have you back, dude. It's easy for content creators and people on Twitter and writers to say, just trade your picks for players. Right? Like it's a pretty blanket statement. What we're going to do, and I saw your trade, Theo. We're going to hit that. I'm going to make sure to remember to hit that. There we go. Marked it down. We're going to talk about where these picks are actually kind of being grouped instead of just saying trade your 104 for Jamar Chase or trade 104 and a second for Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going to get laughed out of your league. Right? So we're going to talk about where these picks are going, the cluster of players around them, and after that, we are going to talk about the trades therein that we're going to make. Ryan, I see. Did you make those edits or was that Lucas?
That was me. Thank you.
All right. I have to apologize because Jacob was in the show sheet today marking down ADP values.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob, let's kick it off. Let's start with the 101.
So this is current Dynasty Data Lab value by pick. I will say, though, I think when we get into some of the Dynasty Daddy trades later, that's actually a better representation than the Dynasty Data Lab stuff. Not to totally derail my own show sheet edition, but I'm going to. When you're in startups, it's just the incentive is always going to be for people to pick players because it's not just the average. The ADP doesn't represent the average of someone's view of a given round against a pick. It represents that person's favorite player in that round that they would pick ahead of that given pick because people don't actually think that, I'm also potentially getting someone even better than the pick value of the slot in a rookie draft. And so I think picks tend to artificially slide in startups. So that being said, Ashton Jeanty / the 101 is essentially, he's currently going at the 209. We've got the 102 and the 103 going in the fourth round, 4-1 and 4-8. Got the 104 and the 105 going in round 5, 106 and the 107 going in round 6, the 108 and the 110 going in round 7, the 111 going in round 8, the 112 to the 112 to the 202 going in round 9.
Ferris just made an interesting point. He says rookies and startups go higher than the rookie slots. That's because people want to make that's a whole other argument.
That's obviously like completely irrational, but that is like it is literally true, despite it being obviously irrational. Because like if you're taking your fourth favorite rookie, the 104 is better because you might get your third favorite rookie, but people would rather take literally their fourth favorite rookie.
Yeah, it's just that people cannot help flag planting And we've talked about that and why I think that can be destructive, but this is something that... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'll give context quick. Here's the player that's immediately before each of those picks. So 101, Nico Collins. 102, Bo Nix. 103, Jonathan Taylor. 104, Michael Penix. 105, James Cook. Chase Brown, 106. Derrick Henry, 107. You get the picture. Yeah, that's where we're at. Then you get down all the way to like the 201, for instance. That's right next to like Josh Downs.
Yeah, and this is what I found so fascinating about the ADP cluster for these players is we've all been in leagues enough to know that if you send someone the 201 for Josh Downs, you're getting hit with like 8 straight gifts. That trade offer is getting screenshotted. It's getting sent to the chat, and you're being called a bum for probably a week, depending on how vicious your leagues are in. You know what I mean? Like, so for him to go beside the 201 there, it's just not, in my opinion, an actual representation of where that pick is valued. And you can do that for a bunch of these picks. Like, I'm sorry, but if you send someone Derrick Henry for their 107, that answer's probably no. Like, that's going to be a hard no for the 107. You're going to get Colson Loveland, or you're going to end up with Derrick Henry, like in a tight end premium league. It's like, come on. So I think that even 103, like T. Higgins is like, maybe, like, I don't know. The draft class and perception, that's kind of league based, but we can definitely talk some tiers for players as soon as Tommy T here pulls up. Obviously, Jacob, you do a wonderful job tiering out your players, your clusters. I want to start with yours. Who do you have in that 101, 102 tier?
So I think it's going to be a tier of one person alone, most likely for me at the 101. The only way for me, it would be a 2-person tier. This is maybe just a me take. I don't know if anyone else has this take. Would be if somehow, like, I went to the Oracle, and the Oracle of Delphi said Travis Hunter is only ever going to play offense. In that case, I would put Travis Hunter in a tier with Ashton Jetty. But I don't think that's going to happen. At best, we're going to get like a soft commitment to playing mostly wide receiver year one. So we're always going to have some risk attached to that. So I think it's just Genty. And then it becomes a bit of a difference. Then I think you're looking at Hampton has got to be in the next tier. He'd be, if I was doing a pre-draft rookie draft today, he'd be my 102. Seems very likely to get round one capital, hits all the athletic thresholds, going to have a big workload. And then definitely in that tier with Hampton is Cam Ward, who's, is likely going to be the number one overall pick. I think he's like minus infinite right now to be the number one overall pick. And then I think it gets a little bit more shifty. I think if Hunter goes to a place that looks like they're going to play him at wide receiver, he's probably in this group. And then I think Tat is probably going to be in this group, but I would think he is going to be solidly behind Hampton with round one capital and first overall pick Ward for most people. The other questionable guy is probably Shedeur Sanders. If he goes number 2, and I mean, we can talk about the implications of what the Giants did today and how that changes our potential perception of Shedeur Sanders' draft capital. If he goes number 2, he probably winds up somewhat in this tier in drafts. If he doesn't go number 2 or number 3, who knows where he wins at.
Yeah, and then when you look at, when you're putting those players to the name, and you again look at the clusters of players around those picks, man, getting into the trade section in the next part is going to be interesting. Now, Ryan, we did a rookie mock draft yesterday or on Monday, which is going to come out tomorrow. So when you're done listening to Dynasty Points, you can head over to Fantasy Football Daily. Joe Dolan, Scott Barrett, myself, Ryan Heath, Brett Whitefield, Theo Greminger, we all sat down. We did a full 3-round mock draft, so you can kind of see how those played out on that show. It was a lot of fun. the grouping was fairly similar. Like we obviously in this one, Shedeur Sanders was sitting at 7. Like the quarterbacks kind of got pushed down a little bit. So that cluster of players is
honestly though, like I wouldn't be all that shocked if we're seeing like regular Shedeur at 107 though. Like this kind of there always seems to be like a quarterback that people sour on, that the community sours on. Usually the pocket passer guy that doesn't have like a crazy huge arm. That's Shedeur. That guy's usually a value in dynasty rookie drafts. And that's just kind of how it goes.
And I think his draft capital range is really wide, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it depends on how you want to interpret what the Giants did today. Maybe you can say it's completely meaningless. I think that's like not that unreasonable. But I think most people's read will be either the Giants think that he's going to the Browns at 2 and it's a lost cause, or the Giants aren't interested even if he's there at 3. So, you know, it probably, I think you'd be more inclined to believe he's going to Cleveland after today. But if not, the floor really drops out. It's like at that point, where is he going to go? Is he going to the Jets at 7? Is he going to the Saints at 9? And if it's neither of those teams, like, is he going in the first round? Like, is it the Steelers? Like, so I don't know. I struggle with the Shedeur thing because I do think draft capital is a lot of the support for his profile, because we're talking about a pocket passer with not an awesome statistical profile. So if you're telling me he's the number 2 overall pick, all right, that's worth a mid-first round pick to me. But if you're telling me he's like a late first, then he's Kenny Pickett. I don't give a shit. So it's a different story. I think I can't remember another time it's going to be this spread. Maybe it'll settle more in after we get landing spots, but like, I don't know. I think you could make a case for, like, I'm not super convinced by Tat as the wide receiver 1 of a class. And I'm not super convinced by either Ward or Sanders as the QB1 and QB2 of a class, like in a vacuum. Like, I think in most classes, these are like the QB3 and QB4, and Tat's like the wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. So from that angle, like, if we were in a different class, when would people be taking Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren? Like, would they be taking them at the 108? Because that's where I think in most classes, guys like Tat and Cam Ward come off the board. So why can't Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland be the 103? I know they won't be. It's just not how we're going to operate. But I think that there's more variance to this tier than given credit for. So for me right now, like, I'm expecting, at least by the time we know landing spots, that I'm not going to want to hold a lot of 102s, 103s, 104s. I'll want to hold more 106s and 107s.
Okay. I guess the only place that we're going to differ, Jacob, is I am relatively convinced on Tet, like, as the clear head and shoulders wide receiver 1 of this class. I'm
convinced of this class, but I'm saying like of a class is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think Tet is like, I don't know how to, I don't know like what a good way to like put this in perspective is. But yeah, he's probably like a fairly good wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 of most classes to me. Like, he's not like a 5-star amazing no notes all around player, but he's like an 8.5 out of 10 type of prospect to me. Like, I'm pretty happy with Ted at 104, like, very solidly. And that's kind of where I see my first, like, after 101 being like its own tier, I would just have like Cam Ward, Omarion Hampton, Tet as my next like mini tier. And I feel pretty solid about that through 104. And I'm comparatively more scared, I guess, of Travis Hunter, not quite like as convinced of him, both from a statistical perspective and also just, is this a safe space, guys? Can I give like the completely uneducated, like anti-Travis Hunter film take? Where, because again, guys, I don't know what I'm looking at when I'm watching film. I just watch guys, right? Yeah, thanks.
I'll give my equally uneducated film take going the other way. But yeah, let's do it. Let's just uneducate this shit up, both sides.
So I just see when I watch Travis Hunter, I see they use him on screens a lot, but he's not particularly explosive after the catch. And I see him like kind of sticking with DBs and just like throwing his hands up and like expecting a contested target every time for him to go up and get. That's like what I mostly see. Now you can say, Ryan, you're an idiot. Travis Hunter is playing 100 snaps a game. He's playing two ways. The guy's gassed. Obviously he looks like that. But I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. I don't know how from a film perspective, I have no idea how I evaluate that. From a statistical perspective, he's kind of clearly a step behind a Ted McMillan for me. So yeah, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. And I've never like gotten to the point that I know a lot of smart film people have, which is that he's just a unicorn and he's amazing and he would be far and away the best wide receiver in this class without any of the like practical concerns. So yeah, that's like my Travis Hunter worries, I guess.
I will grant you the like sort of lack of technical refined skill to some extent. I agree with that. But first of all, especially for his size, ridiculous ball winner. Like I think he plays. Frankly, I trust him in contested situations more than I trust Ted McMillan, even though he's not nearly as large. I completely disagree with the not explosive after the catch. Like I think he's an incredibly sudden mover with absolute wheels and acceleration. Like the amount of times that I've seen him catch balls in traffic and just start running away from dudes and gap defenders in space, it seems numerous to me. I don't know. I disagree with that specifically, but it's hard to like talk about because it's very subjective. But to me, in terms of like who is a special athlete, special mover, who has the ability to be a dominant presence, like I just see a lot more moments of that with Hunter when I watch him than I do with McMillan personally.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. I just think McMillan is kind of a different type of receiver, right? Where if it's Hunter, with Hunter, it's like the way we're envisioning him playing in the NFL. If it is like kind of this like slightly sub full-time route share where it's these like design packages, or like these design plays on offense or design touches, it's like, is he? I don't know.
Really
I'm just not like
I envision him just being a receiver.
That does that.
I envision him like being Malik Neighbors with a chance that he plays corner.
Oh, I don't. I think teams are going to put him in corner.
I really don't think so. I don't buy it. Corner's not as important a position as wide receiver. Wide receiver is a more important position. And the more film consensus we have for people that are better at watching this than any of us is that no one disputes that he's a great corner prospect. But I can't find anyone who's not extremely high on him as a wide receiver in like big NFL media. So if you're telling me that he can do either one, the answer to me seems to clearly be wide receiver. And if I'm him, do I want to play the position that just got paid like $37 million a year, or the one who just got reset at $25 million a year? Like that, again, seems like a pretty easy choice. And so I don't really buy that it's going to be this design thing. And I'll also say this. I think that the chances that he just fully plays both ways in the NFL, I'm not going to say that they're high, but I think that they're vastly underrated. I think most people are just hand waving this as a total impossibility. And I don't think it's impossible. I get how hard it is, but we're already talking about a player who just won the Heisman doing it in college on a very high-paced team. Like the odds of someone getting to that point, playing both ways full-time, are already extremely low. So we're talking about a player who's already a massive, massive outlier. And the question is whether he continues to be one. Like I get that obviously baseball is not as physically demanding of a sport, but like I remember having these conversations about Ohtani. And it's like, well, that's impossible. He's not going to be able to do this in the MLB. And it's like, I think there's at least some chance that he just plays full-time both ways for a large portion of his career that I think we're just dismissing totally out of hand. So I don't know. It's hard to have a take on because you're guessing things that it's like impossible to project. And I'm sure every team sees it slightly differently that's considering him. But if we get information that he's going to play wide receiver, I bet there's still going to be fear. And I think I'm going to end up really, really overweight.
Man, it's so tough. So here's the thing. It is what I imagine way easier for someone to design packages for a wide receiver on offense than it is to design packages for a team on defense. which is why I lean this is just conversations I have had with other people. It's just one of those things. You play him full time at corner and you design and focus using him as a wide receiver. So that's the idea that I have. I think there's a couple of teams that I would prefer him going to for using him as opportunistic as possible. That being said, again, on the mock draft, we said I was so mad that Scott Barrett took Travis Hunter at 106.
106. Okay. Yeah, that's
because I was waiting to pounce at I think I was 109. I was waiting because here's why I don't think it matters. I'm not afraid of a 0. I don't have, if Jacob is right and he's just a wide receiver who can kind of play some dime packages at corner. I don't know. I'm not a coach. I'm not even a scout. I always say I don't pretend to be. What I can say is that you run a risk. I've said this at the top of the show, of a player busting out completely and being a 0 to you anyway when you make a draft pick. Fewer players in this draft class would have the upside he would have if he played wide receiver. So I'm not afraid of a 0, which is why I'm comfortable with that. And then if you look at the tier of players going around the 106 right now, whether it's the Chase Browns who could get totally nerfed, the DJ Moores, the Bryce Youngs who had a cup of coffee of being really good, Zay Flowers, Chris Olave, they don't ring that upside to me. So if you're telling me that I can get Hunter in that kind of cluster of player, I'm totally fine doing it. And yes, you run that risk. Maybe he's a 30% or a 40% snap share guy who gets 23% of the targets in that situation. He's never that elite wide. Sure. Maybe. Is he talented enough to make that kind of workload work? I think so. Would him being the 106 at that time be heartbreaking for you? Sure. Remember when Jalen Reagor was, pick 106, 107? I do, because I took him. So it can happen, man. Guys like Henry Ruggs and Jameson Williams for 3 years. There's always risk. So that's why I look at it. Can I
also just touch on the fan thing? This is the other thing that I think is going to matter, that it's easy to think in a vacuum that NFL teams don't care, but NFL teams definitely care about what fans and media say about them when it comes to high profile players. And my base assumption, and I could be wrong, I disagree fundamentally with Ryan about Hunter as a player. I think he is extremely good. And I think that he's going to play some level of offense, even if I'm wrong about him starting at wide receiver. And I think he's going to become so obviously good in a way that is more obvious when the ball is in your hands than when it's your job to prevent the ball from going into other people's hands. That I just think if he's playing 20% of the snaps at wide receiver and looks like the best player on the field every week, I think coaches are going to get sick of answering, why don't you give the ball to your best player questions. I just think that's going to create an untenable situation where if he had played wide receiver and they just drafted him at pick 3 or pick 4 or pick 5, and every week he gets the ball and he's doing something crazy, and then there's just going to be some level of momentum that's going to almost force their hand to try it out. And then I think it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. None of that applies if he is, not as good as I think he is. But if he is, then I think he kind of just forces himself into that destiny.
I can see if, he goes out there week 1, they're playing him mainly at corner. He catches 4 balls for 82 and 1, and they're give him 7 or 8. I can see it. I saw someone in the chat saying, I'm not taking a 0. I'll take a floor player to get a 0. Here's the thing. If that one, the reason I don't fear a 0 is because Travis Hunter is going to have some insulation anyway. Let's just be real. He's going to have some value. And so there's always going to be somebody else that's willing to at least pay something to acquire the upside. When I say I'm not
value for 3.5 years,
at least, at the very least, get your Travis Hunter exposure on your best ball dynasty leagues.
At
least get some.
Get something. But look at especially wide receivers, they hold insane. Chris Olave has held what if he takes the next step value for 3 years, and he's still very much acquirable for those high end. It's just like
literally worst case, he plays quarterback full time for 2 years. There's going to be some Roto World blurb going into year 3 about like New York Giants new coach says like Travis Hunter to play snaps at wide receiver this year, and then you're going to be able to trade him for like the 204. Like there's it's gonna be a very weird player. We've never dealt with anything like this in Dynasty. Like we have never truly dealt with will this player play offense? And it's going to be a weird journey we're going to go on together.
And how much, right? Like there's still a world, right? Because no prospect is foolproof for the most part. None.
For sure.
Right? That's why you get weird. Jalen Hurts was the 301 in Superflex Dynasty rookie ADP. Everyone got that wrong for 2 rounds.
But I'm glad you brought up Hurts, because to me, that's the closest thing. Like the closest comparison to Hunter is like the mobile quarterback that we're pretty sure is bad, but we know if he starts is going to score a bunch of fantasy. But like, it's not a perfect comparison, but like in terms of a really high variance bet with kind of a binary attached to it, like someone like Hurts, who might have just never played round 2 pick, but when he did play, had a really high upside. That's kind of the Hunter bet, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Scott Barrett, who's going to be on the show, I believe it's April 14th. I confirmed it. Let me just double check so I'm not lying to everybody. I did lie to everybody. April 15th, Boot and Rally episode 4 with Scott Barrett is going to be going down. We're going to talk.
We'll get him back in the city for it.
Yes, sir. We are going to have him back in the chair to argue wide receivers. And this is the man that wrote, Upside Wins Championships. This is what he and I talked about on the mock draft episode with this case. You could draft Luther Burden at 112. You could draft Golden. You could draft these other guys. I just don't know. The minute a team says he's going to play mostly wide receiver, he's the 102. You'll just watch it would happen immediately over Hampton. And I don't think it would be that close. So you're getting him in a group of players where it's like, 108, maybe this player gets in the right spot. We're already hitting that point.
Yeah. So, I just also want to be clear on my own take too. I have no problem with.
You think Connor sucks, you hate him, you think he's a mean person.
Yeah. 106 through 108, I'm like happy to click a Travis Hunter right now. I think that's and I said this on the mock draft too that's coming out tomorrow. I think that's about where the risk flips over into reward for me. But yeah, I'm in a tight end premium dynasty league. I'm going like a top 15 draft capital Tyler Warren over a Travis Hunter, like really clearly to me right now.
And I just want to say our chat is going insane right now, and I am loving watching you guys break down film takes and go back and forth. There's a reason I don't pretend to watch film. There's a reason where I will never tell you that I looked at the tape on this guy. I looked at the data. He's going to be an absolute stud. Can't miss him. No, I'm going to tell you where he's going around the market and how to navigate it, because that is something that is a lot more predictable to me than telling you if a player is good or not. This is the same reason why when people tell you a quarterback can or can't play, I will always say the same thing. The only person that could scout a quarterback is God herself, and the rest of us are just guessing. So now we're just taking our best educated guesses for upside. So when you look at, like you said, some of these tiers of players, man, it is very easy to take veterans in terms of draft. And then it's also very easy to see where these tier breaks are going to be, even predicting when drafted. Okay, let's take our break, and we come back. We're going to actually talk about trades that have happened, players that we are going after, even though Jacob, when he said off the top, he's not actively looking to move picks right now. We're going to make him make some decisions here and give us some players that he would actively be looking to go and get right now with some rookie picks. On the other side of this break, we saw your super chats and we have your questions. We're also going to answer those, because that's what we do here. Sit tight. You're not going to want to miss it. Okay. Let's talk some questions. Sean said a 10-team start 9, no tight end premium. One team has Kittle, LaPorta, and McBride. That is a lot of tight ends to have in a non-tight end premium. He has the 101, the 102, and 4 seconds with no tight end of note. In no tight end premium, what would you pay for somebody like a McBride or LaPorta, if at all? He is coming off of a rebuild. This is an interesting question. Because I don't think they're not important anymore just because it's tight end premium. Just the elites one matter a little bit more.
No tight end premium. Oh, it's 10 team. Oh gosh.
Oh, 10 team. I totally missed that.
Start 9.
Start 9.
Oh my god, find a better league. Look, Sean.
That's brutal.
I'd say like McBride 102-ish. No?
10 teams start 9? I don't think I'm giving up the 101 or the 102 for like I think I'd rather just have Hampton than McBride and a 10-team start 9. Like he's gonna score more points.
So I would say, could you use your 4 seconds to go move up and take one of the other tight ends?
Standard, obviously, based on the rest of these sets. I'm kidding.
Jeez, Jacob. the man donated. Ruthless.
Yeah, and I want to find out what the scoring settings are. Sorry that I'm trying to be thorough.
Oh my gosh. I would actively be trying to take those 4 seconds and move up. I will buy you a beer when I see you next back home. I promise.
It's PPR. All right. In fairness, I actually assumed half. I was joking about the standard, but yeah, I would say it's like 102 is fine, but you need to get something back. Like you're not going to get it done for your 4 seconds. So although if you could, I would trade all 4 of them because I mean the depth peak component of a start 9 league is like pretty not important.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, I'm trying to use the 4 seconds, move up, and take one of the other rookie tight ends, if possible. Like maybe if it's tight end premium, guys like Warren and Loveland don't get taken as high, and you can swoop in with those 4 seconds and move your way up. There's also some other pretty decent tight end prospects that you can take a swing at so you don't overpay, like a Fannin or something, depending on draft capital and landing spot and all that stuff. In fact, you can go back and listen to our episode with Max Toscano of Remember the Tight Ends, where we talk about some of his favorite tight end targets that could suit you in this situation. I mean, I'm just plugging everything today. I'm on absolute fire here.
Yeah, but you did just get your way back around to tight end as deep this year. So
I promised Max I would.
It's not.
Absolutely.
It's actually not. I don't like.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I said this last week. I kind of
really
am just scared of the tight end class after Warren and Loveland. Like I don't see this.
It's functionally no different than any other tight end class. I guess there's like more really good prospects than usual, but like there's 2 very good prospects, and then there's like one guy that everybody got all hot and bothered about for a month, but he doesn't exist anymore. So you can retire him from your mind. And then there's like a bunch of interesting dart throws to take with your 3rd round rookie picks. That's every year at tight end. I don't understand the difference.
Simon asked, can we send multiple seconds for Kittle? Yeah, I absolutely will.
Yes.
A million times, yes. Like, this is going to sound real stupid.
10-person league, I'd send all fucking 4. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, agreed. This might come off as one of the stupidest things I've ever said here on this program, but despite his age, like if you just took his production, the dude is a top 2, top 3 tight end in fantasy. If you want to ignore age for a couple of years, yeah, I would be sending every asset I can within reason to go and get George Kittle on every competing roster that you can, because that dude is going to still go bananas for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is if you say Ryan, like you have to pick, you have to rank tight end who you think are going to be the top scoring tight ends in the year 2026 or 2027. Kittle is still like the third guy I say
Mhm.
after Bowers and McBride. Like this is a position where especially the elite players, tend to age pretty well. Like even if in 2027 you're getting like the kind of washed Travis Kelce season out of George Kittle, like you're still fine with that if you traded multiple seconds for him this year. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And we talked about that again. I keep referencing this mock draft episode, but it's like when you run down the dynasty ranking of tight ends, it's just like it's Bowers, it's McBride, it's like maybe LaPorta, and then it's like kind of Kittle, and then it's like what Tucker Kraft or like Njoku, or it's ass. The position is hot ass when you get out of the top two. So yeah, take the most productive one that you can get at the cheapest price you can. Absolutely. Sean also said maybe he missed it, but I think it's been a while since Jacob's do not buy wide receivers on credit thesis came outside of print. Might be useful for some folks who have not heard it. I love that. We'll really save that. I want to save that.
Credited to me. It's not really mine. It's really a Dyko's thing that I've repeated, but I appreciate the ownership.
We'll hit that. We will hit that on the other side. We've really got to get to the second break. This is shaping up to be a 2-hour episode on Lucas's first night back, which there'd be no better way to reintroduce him to the wonderful world of this podcast and YouTube channel than having him here for 2 hours. There's just no better way to do that. I did also want to mention, shout out Theo, the 199 super sticker. We appreciate it. We love that. I see your question there, and we are going to answer that one as well in the next segment when we're talking about trades to actually make. Don't worry. I saw it. I caught it. I didn't forget it. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Okay. Trades to make now. Jacob, let's hit on the wide receiver discussion that Sean had brought up to lead into this.
Sure. Yeah, I'll bring this up. So yeah, Sean had mentioned something that we used to talk about a lot back in the days of the Bulletproof Discord, which shout out to it's nice to know you're in the good times while you're in them. But the concept of don't buy wide receivers on credit is essentially the idea that outside of very few exceptions, wide receivers struggle to post very meaningful fantasy points over replacement in the ways that certainly quarterbacks and tight ends do, and sometimes running backs do, and sometimes they don't. Kind of go back and forth on that. And so what their large source of value and why they're valued so highly in Dynasty is that they are, at least in theory, more stable, and they'll have the longer runway. And so the idea is, if you're investing in wide receiver at the expense of other positions, you're trying to do it to maintain longevity, maintain stability, maintain a smaller edge over longer relative to the running back position. But it's kind of antithetical to that purpose to then trade a bunch of future assets for wide receivers. And Dyko, I think, is a little bit more doctrinaire about this. My attitude was, generally speaking, like, any wide receiver you can get for a first, you probably shouldn't trade a first for them, in the sense that they are probably not going to be scoring enough points for it to be worthwhile, at least for younger players. That's if you're talking about like a 28-year-old superstar, different story. But when we're talking about guys in the Jordan Addison range, in the who's an example of someone? Jalen McMillan, when he had his little moment coming off this year. Roma Dunze, if you want to use him as an example, like whatever their actual cost is and picks, if they haven't started producing like a truly elite player yet, you're probably just adding a bunch of additional risk by moving a first for them for a very much reward. So if you're trading picks for players, I think you probably either want to do it on making a bet that is a little bit higher upside, or at least at a lower cost, or where it's a more clear-cut point purchase where, okay, I'm spending a first, but I know, or at least I think I know, what I'm getting in terms of the value of a replacement injected into my roster.
Yeah, beautifully said every single time. I can listen to that every single time. Let's get to this next super chat from Simon before we get into some real trades, and Lucas speaks again to answer Theo's question. Look, you asked that question. That joke is going to come back around in about half an hour. Simon said 12 teams, start 10 PPR. It is a 0.5 tight end premium. Jacob approves of this league format. He said the rookie draft is starting tomorrow. I don't approve of this. I think that is psycho behavior, but I love the fact
Tomorrow? Why can't you wait until at least like mid-April?
Look, I applaud. I absolutely applaud. Look, we said all last year that more people should do pre-NFL draft rookie drafts. We meant every draft but this one.
I love pre-draft NFL rookie drafts. I don't really understand the need to do it in March.
Hey,
I feel like we could do it a little closer.
Hey, look, if you're gonna take the risk, don't half-ass it. You got to go all the way in on it. So let's go. Rookie draft starting tomorrow. Got the 109 and the 112. He's competing, which is why he's probably either the natural 109 or he won it all. He says, I want Hunter, or I'm going to butcher this, but Ibuka. Am I going to bite on RB4 or 5, tight end 2, Golden? Just kind of generally asking what he's maybe likely to be looking at. I'll say that if Jackson Dart happens to fall at all, I'm just auto-clicking at that point if I am competing. Hunter, we talked about him, obvious. Any one of the top 2 tight ends, obvious. Outside of that, I am very much a big trade back guy. So if there's a quarterback value for you, I love it. If the tight end falls, or like you said, your guy Hunter, it also might be worth using those picks to move up, if I'm being totally honest with you. I would love to move up into that top 6, into that top 5 with those picks if possible. Anyone else?
The sucky thing about it being March and doing a draft is that in a month, that 109 is going to be worth, let's say, at least 1.5 times what it's worth right now, because we're going to have some of these running backs in what's a stacked running back class. They're going to have their landing spots. We're going to start getting hyped about somebody, and there's going to be someone there that people are going to be spending 26 first plus their 205 this year or something like that to move up to be able to get the guy that they want at the back end of the first round. So it's just an unfortunate, thing whenever you're dealing with doing an earlier rookie draft. Having said that, I'm still leaning towards doing a rookie running back, especially like if you don't see a super high upside person there, like the potential Travis Hunter, who has that really wide variance that Jacob was talking about earlier. Then, yeah, I'm starting to look for some of the running backs there. I'm taking dart throws. And also, we already know that they're really good prospects.
Dart throw?
I like it. I mean, yeah, if Jackson Dart's there, I think that he's probably going to get round. Yeah, I think that he's probably going to get round 1 draft capital. Now, I've also seen all of the things that the Fantasy Points Twitter is putting out right now about Jackson Dart. Me personally, I still have some issues with him as a prospect, but round 1 quarterbacks, I'm drafting in round 1 of rookie drafts. It's just the easiest value that you can possibly get, especially if you have so many other unknowns and you know that this guy should be getting first round draft capital. Yeah, that's super easy. You can trade him later. He's going to retain his value. You can find the actual piece that you need for your team, especially if you're trying to compete right now. So I think it just gives you a little bit more flexibility without saying, oh, go and trade for more future picks.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely love that. Love the trade back options where whenever you're getting as many shots at the apple as you can based on this. Like I remember last year I was in one. I'm always in one that goes aggressively pre-draft. We had to fill some orphans in this league. So last year we even did this pre-combine, which was like psychotic. Tom's eyes just bulged out of his head. But it was like I ended up doing a deal where now obviously JSN ended up having a very nice year, but I ended up trading him for like a couple of picks, and then I traded those couple of picks back. But I forget the specifics, but I wound up getting like something like Worthy, Coleman, Pearsall, and at least one running back that wound up having a quite a good year. Might have been Irving or Tracy. But anyway, it ended up being like a bunch of different dudes, but it was like, some of those guys I think moved later on, even before the season, and some of them didn't really work out all that well. But like almost all of them wound up really increasing their closing line value between where I was able to draft them then and then where they ended up going pre-combine. And that's not going to happen every single time, of course. You're going to take some closing line value L's, but at the same time, like you give yourself more opportunities to hit those big outliers when we have as little information as possible. And especially this year with the running backs, like I would just want to be taking shots on as many of the running backs as possible in like the third and the fourth round, because it's going to be a bit of whack-a-mole for who winds up getting a really clean run out in the draft. At the 109 and the 112 specifically, if you have to stick and pick, I think it's probably, I think if you can get any of the top 5 running backs, that's probably where I'm looking. I'm probably looking at, you're not going to have obviously a chance at Hampton or Genty, but you might have a chance to get one of, probably not Henderson either, but you might get one of Judkins or Johnson, and that's probably where I would want to lean. Or if you could get either of the tight ends, that'd be my priority.
Okay, so that's good to know that Johnson's still going in that about approximate range. I've seen some mock drafts where he's going as late as like 209.
I think
And
he's
in my
he might
mind,
be.
in my mind though, like that seems so low.
I think for myself, at this stage of the draft,
Okay.
I don't know what the market's doing.
Well, that makes me feel better about my takes, so I appreciate that.
I can tell you he's RB5 right now, according to the Dynasty Data Lab from February and March. He's RB5 at the 110. He's actually going ahead of Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. So like there's a chance there.
I'd rather have Loveland for sure.
Yeah,
I
If I
agree.
get Loveland at the 109 or 112, I'd be pumped. I think Loveland, when I do my ranks without market, I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up at the 105 or something for me.
Agreed. And like, look, Dart is the 202. So like those are probably the targets I'm looking at the most.
Yeah.
Hopefully that covered everything. And he says, I've got 13 leagues. Only one has a pre. It's this one. We could just wait next year. Nah, we're just giving you the business. I mean, have as much fun as you can. Because remember, that's why we have the PSA. We have fun here. And I say at the end of every show that this game is supposed to be fun. So make it as much fun as it can for you and your league. And if this is kind of like a specialty thing that you do, hey, go for it. You got bigger stones than I do. I'll put it to you that way. Let's talk about some trades for these players. This is how this is going to go. Lucas has looked up what each pick is getting traded for right now. I have not looked at this.
Lucas is our Dynasty Daddy.
He is Dynasty Daddy Lucas Gilbert.
Do you consider yourself more of a Dynasty Daddy or a Dynasty Zaddy?
Lucas ain't gonna
I think
get.
I might have just vomited a little bit.
Do you know what a Zaddy means, Lucas?
I know I should, but I do not
Yeah, so
right now.
it says a sexually attractive man, especially an older one who is fashionable or charismatic. And then it gives it a use in a sentence which says, so many people go for Jeffrey. He's such a zaddy. Origin is in English, usually in the early 21st century. And it uses the Z as an intensifier for daddy, perhaps getting it from the term sugar daddy.
All right. Well, I'm not particularly fashionable, so that kind of takes me out of that one. So I'll just stick with daddy then.
All right. Well, Lucas, our Dynasty Daddy. Brendan, we see your super chat here. We will holler at that once we get a few of these picks done. We love all your donations. Obviously, they're amazing. It's not something that usually happens on this program, so we will make sure that we hit it, and all of it is absolutely appreciated. We are absolutely just here for you guys, but thank you. So this is how it's going to work. Lucas is going to – we're going to talk about – we're all going to give a player that we would kind of trade the 101 for, right? Discuss what we think the value is. And Lucas is going to let us know what's actually getting moved for the 101, and then we'll just kind of have a discussion for it, and we'll go through as many of these picks as we can get through here for the first round. The second round, if you're going to trade them, just, I don't know, trade for wide receivers. I don't know what to tell you on that one. Let's go round one, Lucas. Actually, first I'll start with Jacob. Where do you start considering trading your 101 pick in terms of players?
Like who's the who's the worst player I would trade the 101 for?
Correct.
Or so like who's the lowest ADP player I would trade the 101 for?
Correct.
Based on current ADP, I would say Drake Maye, who goes one pick behind the 101.
Drake Maye is a really good one. Ryan?
I was going to say the same exact thing, Drake Maye, but I can give another player instead. I would say I'll say, yeah, in tight end premium, I'll say Trey McBride is there for me.
Cool.
Yeah, Trey McBride goes a little bit ahead, but it's definitely an offer that you can send out. Man, straight up for the 101, there's like very few players. It might be Drake London or Lad McConkey for me. I would definitely.
I don't think I would trade 101 for either of those guys.
I get it, but you took the other. You guys took the other two, and my initial thought was Brian Thomas Jr. But I think you need to pay the 101, your house. I would have to give up the pink slip to my truck.
Yeah,
I would have to give up the pink slip to the Challenger, and then maybe I might get a counter back. Like it's just it wouldn't happen. So that was going to be the one. But I think London, I think there's a reason the 101 goes a spot ahead of Maye. I think it's actually in the perfect spot.
Ferris asked about Nico. On Dynasty Data Lab, at least on the version of Dynasty Data Lab I'm looking at, Nico goes 1 pick ahead of Genty and 2 picks ahead of Maye. So I would trade the 101 for Nico. But I picked Maye since he was just one slot behind.
Yeah, and I can't see myself clicking that button for Nico. I can't, not with the 101.
Yeah, I prefer Genty to Nico.
Like, I don't think Nico has a chance of getting in around 1 in terms of startup ADP. 101, like Genty, could find himself where Bijan is right now at the 110. Pretty early.
Like, I would rather have Nico than Bijan. Like pretty solidly.
Really?
Because like I think Nico's gonna score as many points this year, and he plays wide receiver instead of running back.
Well, I mean,
so, like I would rather have Nico than Bijan. I probably would rather have Genty than Bijan.
Less confident about that. He scores as many points as Bijan this year. Yeah.
The 12 games Nico will play, he's gonna.
Who scored more points per game last year?
And the 12 games
Bijan
was like will be pretty lit. But that's a whole other argument that we could get into. Lucas, while Ryan fact checks the points per game, let's talk about some players that are actually getting traded for the 101. You tell us a trade, we'll tell you what side we're taking, and we'll see where the night takes us.
All right. The first one is Brian Thomas Jr. or 2025 pick 101.
There we go. I didn't think that actually happened, but someone actually did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
I'll take Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
He would be the 101 in this. Well, with what we know now, he'd be the 101.
I think that's pretty unanimous. So I'm going to move on very quickly to the next one. CJ Stroud or 101.
Take the 101.
Now, keeping in mind, these are all super flex, start 10, 0.5 tight end premium. I will take the 101. Forever done with the pylon quarterbacks.
All right. The 101 and 212 for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, God.
101.
Oh, the 101. What are we doing? Chat says Brian Thomas Jr. 101, 101. I'm guessing that's for the Stroud question.
Yeah, I think everybody's taking BTJ. Crowd is definitely split, I think, on the Stroud one.
Yeah, some people are taking Stroud
over Harrison.
All right, I got one more.
Ferris said 212 by itself.
Fair enough. All right, last one here. 101 or Kyron Williams in the 111.
I'll take the 101.
101.
Yeah, 101.
All right.
I'm surprised you had to think about that a little bit.
I was trying to do the math in my head there for a minute, but yeah. 101.
It's like 101 and like Luther Burden or Kyron and I'll take I'm just ADP here, okay? Work with me. I'll take 101 there pretty easily. So that was interesting. A little bit of a split, but definitely look, if you want to acquire yourself some Brian Thomas Jr. and you're a rebuilding team with the 101, go get that wide receiver, baby. Go do it.
Two and a half more points per game for Bijan Robinson last year than Nico Collins, by the way.
In more games because Nico never finishes a season. Let's start with the 102. So obviously the 102 goes in kind of a weird, it's the 401 pick in startups. But same question, Jacob. Who would be the first player you'd be looking to trade for with the 102?
Sorry, someone's laptop is going crazy loud. Did you say 102?
Yes, 102. That would be Lucas's.
All right. Okay. First player or the worst player I would trade the 10. Sorry, and it's the worst player I trade the 102 for, right? Same question as before?
Yes.
I would do I'm looking at the ADP right now. Let's see. I would trade the 102 for. It might be okay. I would do it for Lad.
Easy, without question.
And I'm trying to think if there's anyone there behind him that I would. I think it breaks my heart because there's some dudes here that I really like. But I think that's as far as I'm going on the ADP list. I don't think I'm going to anyone behind Lad at the 304.
Really? Really?
I think
I'll
Mary,
say Devon Achane.
Yeah, I would rather have the 102.
Interesting. Okay, that's fair.
I think that Hampton, and that's just like my presumptive 102. Maybe something happens where it ends up being a different guy, but he seems pretty locked into the first round. I don't even love him like on film. I like him. I don't know that I would spend a first round pick on him as an NFL team, but they want to. And to the extent I have any issues with Hampton at all, it's more about like the subtleties of the game. Like in terms of the fantasy specific components, it's like A+, A+, A+. He catches passes. He's huge. He's fast. He handles a massive workload, like everything you could possibly want. And if the NFL also thinks he's talented enough and skilled enough to go in the first round, then I think he should be only behind Genty, Gibbs, Bijan as a dynasty running back.
Okay, I totally understand it. I just like the running back that's actually the wide receiver 1 on his team. That's like super explosive. So that's why I like Achane. That's why I'm in. But I totally get it. We've got Achane in the chat. We've got some Lad. We've got a JSN. That's dicey. We got a Bucky Irving.
I really thought hard about JSN. He's right behind, one spot behind Lad. So I was hemming and hawing on.
Okay, that's interesting to me. We got a Ken Walker.
No, thank you.
Look, I love Ken
Walker, but I'm taking the 102.
Says Ken Walker. Look, Ferris, I love Bucky. I think Bucky is great. I loved Bucky when he was like, I was taking him at 211, 212, 102 now.
I'll take Bucky over Achane in a battle of guys that I love.
Not quite there yet. Maybe one day. Lucas,
I'll take Hampton over Bucky then.
Who do we got at the 1-2?
You all are absolutely all over. The first one that I was going to ask about was JSN or 102.
Did Ryan get to play? I don't think we let Ryan play.
Yeah, I can just quickly say I think Achane is like the kind of the break-even point for me. Okay. If you're saying it's Hampton or Achane, I'm taking Achane. Maybe today, if it's Achane or the 102, I like 102 by a hair, just because again of the additional insulation there. If it ends up not being Hampton, but yeah, that's where I'd go. So probably Lad is actually my answer.
Okay.
All right, let's hear it, Lucas.
All right, I already said 102 or JSN.
Yes, light 102 for me.
Yep. 102 or Garrett Wilson.
That was also one I debated a lot in my mind, but I'm going with 102.
Same.
Buck, don't listen to this because I know what's coming for me when we record on Friday. I'll take 102.
All right, Kyler Murray or 102.
102.
102.
Buck, don't listen to this. The 102.
Oh, see, I'm doing Kyler Murray there, but
I'm thinking about. Look, I'm thinking
Kyler
about
Murray's
Kyler
like
Murray.
77 overall in Madden, bro.
All right, confirmed. Jacob uses the same rankings as the New York Jets. It's hard to pass up on a guy like Kyler because when he played, this is the first year he's played significant games where he wasn't a top 10 points per game quarterback. He was 11. So it's tough, but he did a lot of the heavy lifting in like, I think it was five games out of the season. So it is tough. It's hard to give away a quarterback like that, but I'll take 102 because I think you can acquire Kyler for less than that.
All right, I got one more. Jamar Chase or Lad McConkey in the 102.
Oh man,
I'm still taking Jamar.
Yeah,
I'll say that it depends on the team for me, but probably going to err on the side of Jamar Chase on teams that are average or better in value.
Yeah. I have Jamar Chase as a base 4 first player. That's close.
I'm just going to say this. Like, I just think, we're not that far apart on the show, but the chat seems lower on the 102 prospect. I think this Hampton thing is going to be something where, like, I know it's weird to think of now because a lot of you guys in the chat your relationship with Marion Hampton is either non-existent before January, or if it is existent, it's like as like a good, not awesome Devy running back. But like at some point in time, he's going to get picked at like 10 or 12 or 20 or 21 or 22. And then it's going to be week 3 and he's going to be handling an 85% snap rate. And you're going to be like, wait, like this guy's 220 and he runs a 4.46 and he's getting like 25 touches a game and he's the RB7. It's like, oh, like he's a round 2 startup pick. And that makes sense. Like, I just think it's going to be one of those things that sneaks up on you.
I mean, I agree. There is a hot take DM that I am waiting to unleash onto the world about how I feel about Hampton. And I'm going to wait for it to potentially be right to release it because I don't need to end up on fantasy receipts. But we do have people in the chat saying, Jamar, has anyone seen Brick and Jacob in the same room? I haven't. Theo said his wife chimed in and said Jamar Chase. So okay. Simon says it is a great trade. Lad plus the 102. That's a great deal. I'm sticking with Jamar Chase, the wide receiver 1 for the next like 4 years.
Yeah, I'm on Chase here as well. I will say on Hampton, I think maybe what is making people trepidatious is I get it's been really a few years since we've had like the not insanely and obviously explosive running back just that is drafted in round 1 and is almost certainly going to handle 20 plus touches a game. Like that archetype isn't super common anymore in fantasy like it was 5 or more years ago. And I just think that's kind of what we're getting with Hampton. So I get why people aren't like as quick to jump on that.
But his wrath is a 9.78.
Sorry, when I say not obviously explosive, I mean like doesn't like total it to me at least doesn't like totally jump off the screen on film, doesn't have like the gaudy advanced metrics. He's not like incredible in the missed tackles forced and all of that. Like that's more what I'm saying. And I don't think at the next level, I don't think he is like this home run hitter kind of archetype. He's the guy that gets 20 plus touches a game and scores a lot of fantasy points.
For sure. I've seen some, but like I'm seeing people talk about Najee Harris comes to the chat. Najee Harris is like a high 4.6 running back. Like these guys are not comparable. Like maybe Hampton is like Joe Mixon, where it's like his athleticism is just mostly theoretical. Like that's a possibility. But Joe Mixon's also scored a lot of fantasy points. People hate it. I hate it, but he scored a lot of fantasy points in his life.
Also, wasn't Najee absolutely a second round startup pick? Like during coming out of his rookie year. Yeah,
okay. That's what people forget.
Don't gaslight me on that.
Najee Harris once upon a time. A lot of touches for Najee Harris.
Yeah,
absolutely it was. All right, let's talk about 103. So same question to you, Jacob. 103. Who are you moving it for?
I mean, it's kind of the same. I view these guys to be in a tier. So I'll move it back a little bit further, but not much. I'll go Garrett Wilson for this one. No, I'll actually move back a little bit further. There's a couple quarterbacks I like. I'll go I'll go back to Trevor Lawrence on this one. So, and that's inclusive of Trevor and Kyler and JJ McCarthy.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot, Ryan.
Yeah, I'll say this one's very tough for me. I'm going to say T. Higgins here.
Yes. That was mine. I was in a startup and I was staring down the barrel at that pick. And I just felt like, man, even Ryan, you said it to me. You said, why didn't you just click T. Higgins there? And I was like, oh, I've been regretting it ever since. 103, I would be trying to negotiate JSN off of a pick needy team, even if I had to add a little bit of a snack. as we like to say in the market report. I see Rashee Rice in the chat. I feel like that's not a half bad bet there. Tight end premium. I would maybe LaPorta, but I don't know. I think you guys stole mine. I think you guys absolutely took mine. I will agree with the JJ McCarthy. I will go JJ McCarthy for sure. And I won't say Trevor Lawrence, but I'll say JJ McCarthy for sure. Although I will say if anyone could maybe turn around Lawrence's horrendous fantasy output, it might be the new regime and Brian Thomas Jr. Even though Brian Thomas Jr. is better with Mac Jones, but he's finally found his way to San Francisco, which we haven't talked about, which I thought we would. But Destiny has finally aligned, and Mac Jones is a San Francisco 49er. Not doing Waddle for the 103. Nah.
I will say on Lawrence, I'm down with it. I'm with like the Lawrence in this system, that whole thesis. I've talked about it a bunch already this offseason. As a 4th round startup pick, I think I might just get my exposure in redraft or in best ball, if I'm being honest, where it feels like the risk is a lot less.
I mean, what's the risk? Like, he's not going to be out of the league.
Yeah, I don't know. The risk is he's like a 6th or a 7th round startup pick, I guess. But
yeah, that doesn't seem like that big of a risk.
So, it says Brett says you're not getting JJ McCarthy for 103. Well, you can in a startup because the 103.
I definitely think you can in some spots.
Yeah, the 103 goes ahead of JJ McCarthy. So market is telling us the 103. Now maybe you have to add a small snack in just to fake overpay, but the 103 is technically by market and by drafts right now more valuable than JJ McCarthy.
And that is one of the trades that I have found on Dynasty Daddy. And I would prefer JJ McCarthy over the 103.
See, there you go. Someone actually did it. So yes, you can get JJ McCarthy for the 103.
Other trades, 103 or Breece Hall in 308.
103 or Breece Hall and a third?
I'll take 103. I don't want Breece Hall. See ya. Get off my roster.
Yeah, 103 for me.
Oh, I'm doing Breece Hall. Okay.
I can't do it. Cannot do it. Give me Tyler Warren in a tight end premium.
I will say Jets fans got really mad when Jeremiah or whoever it was mocked Genty or some running back to them in the 1st round. I don't think
just suck for everything involved.
Yeah, I don't think that's all that crazy, or it's certainly in round 2 or round 3. Yeah.
Yeah, not at all.
Not saying I approve of it. Just saying I think it's.
I'd really prefer, for the sake of like 2 top 5 dynasty running backs currently, that Ashton Chetney doesn't go to the Jets.
And I've said
Breece Hall and Justin Fields.
That was Lance Zierlein, apparently. I've said on this podcast and market report, 2 of these rookie wide receivers are getting nerfed by landing spot. It's just how this works out. Please don't let it be him.
Receivers can't really get that nerfed by landing spot. It'll be fine. I mean, like, people will be crazy.
I say receiver or running back.
I think you meant running back.
I meant running back.
Oh, okay. Oh, you said running. In that case, I very much agree. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 of them are getting nerfed, and it's going to suck. It happens every time.
Like, here's the team. Like, Houston has 2 seconds now after the Tunsil trade. They have no realistic backup behind Joe Mixon. Like, they're going to take a running back, and that's going to be a running back that's going to play like 20% of the snaps this year in round 2.
Please be all.
That's like so like there's going to be stuff like that, and then there's always the chance of like oh my god, like they extended Joe Mixon. So it's like there's going to be some weird spots from teams that just value like
Taylor. Like I could see Taylor getting a backup. Colts, that's going to suck.
I don't think that they're going to do it in round 2, but every podcast that I've been on that asked me about a Colts take, I think they're going to draft a running back in round 3 or round 4.
Yeah, I've been big on that on Market Report as of late, so I agree. All right,
you got to look at the teams that don't have any sort of backup, and that they're going to prioritize getting that guy earlier than you like.
Scary, because that offense was putrid without Taylor in the lineup in Indy. Putrid.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's do some more.
All right, I will say it's been a little bit tougher to find good trades with the 103. An interesting one, though, is Jaden Daniels or Drake Maye in the 103.
That is a really interesting trade.
I'll take Jaden Daniels.
I'm on Daniels, and I'll let Jacob give his Maye Cope take.
What's the cope? He rocks. But I would still take Daniels.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that one coming. All right, let's go. 104. Same. A lot of like the one these 104s and the 105s.
Preemptive. Maybe let's just have like to go faster. If it's okay with you.
Well,
dear leader, can we maybe?
Well, I appreciate Jacob.
Some of them out.
We've grown as a podcast even on this episode as you're asking. I was going to say, now I agree that these picks 104, 105, 106, etc., they just all mesh together. They're one giant melting pot of a tier for me. So I agree. Let's just run through the trades for from here on out for the rest of the first round, whether or not we agree, because for the most part,
when I asked nicely, I got my way.
It's true. Look, what have I said on this podcast since day one? If you want points, 1, call Joe Flacco a GOAT because he's an MVP, a Super Bowl MVP and a GOAT. Compliment me in any way and you get what you want. And then number 3 is compliment Lamar Jackson. You get whatever you want. That's all you have to do to get brownie points on this show. I've said it for years, but I do have, basically 104 to 107 kind of in a melting pot. So let's go.
All right, Lucas, fire away.
All right. So for the 104 or Trevor Lawrence in a 2026 second.
Wow, I already took Trevor on 103.
Yeah,
I'll take Trevor. It's probably one of the few times I would like bet on Trevor, but I'll do it here.
All right, fair enough. 104 or Chuba Hubbard in the 109.
I'll take 104.
Man.
I'll take Tyler Warren.
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's 104. Okay, I will say I think Chuba Hubbard's a good buy with later first right now.
So Tet, I get Loveland and Warren, I get Shedeur, and then I have to get through one more player. So I get probably whatever the next running back. I'll take the 109 and Chuba just because I really don't think there's gonna be that much of a difference between them. Actually, okay, I will take the 104 because I think you're gonna be able to get a better deal on that later. But I think that ultimately I will like the players better with 109 and Chuba.
All right, last one, the 104 and Kim Walker or Jahmyr Gibbs.
Gibbs. I'll just take Gibbs here, dude. Like, I don't get me wrong, I love Ken Walker too, but last year the contract running back, they didn't pay him, and the 104 we're sitting here talking about maybe sort of kinda. I'll take that guy who's currently the RB2 at the 111 and who's really good at football. I will take Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not even thinking about it too.
I'm thinking about it, but I think I would take Gibbs.
Yeah.
Can I just be honest? This is one I'm declining on either way, like a little bitch.
if you just did the same trade for BTJ instead, I would like confidently say BTJ.
Yeah.
But it being Gibbs, I guess it's Gibbs.
I'll just do Gibbs because if you get Gibbs, you can kind of buy whatever you want in that.
Can I go back?
Picking good trades. Yeah, what's up?
There's someone asked a question in the chat that I really love. It goes back to the 102.
The Lamb one?
Yes, 102 and Ladd or CD Lamb.
102 and Ladd.
See, I'm still happy taking CD Lamb. I have CD Lamb as being my Jamar Chase this year. Last year on a Fantasy Points team best ball stream, I got mocked for taking Jamar Chase at the 101 in that one. This year, healthy CD Lamb, they haven't really added much. The team sucks, and he's really good. Lamb might be that dude this year.
They're drafting Matthew Golden at pick 12. You can take that to the bank.
I think. I don't know. I do not
save
know.
That clip.
I've seen running back. I'm taking CD Lamb there. CD Lamb might be the biggest buy low if there is one. Elite wide receiver that is around. He's just, for some reason, him and Amon-Ra are just falling to the wayside. Anyway, sorry, we derailed it a little bit. Let's go.
All right, 105. So 105 or Justin Fields and James Cook.
Yeah, I'll take 105. That's a blasphemous trade. Seeing Justin Fields anywhere near that kind of a pick is blasphemous. Blasphemous, Jacob. Blasphemous.
All right, then 105 or Sam Darnold in the 206.
105. Come on.
105.
I love Sammy D on this show, but come on.
These are trades that actually happen.
I know.
I think we're running out of good players. I think that's really, and that's kind of the vibe I get looking at the ADP too, is like right around 105, 106 is where we run out of really good veterans.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're taking shots, right? But that's why it's important to talk about, because a lot of people don't know what to do with these picks. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm trying to avoid some of the like more.
Can you throw out like maybe a
complicated type
little,
ones.
maybe a little bit later? Can you go down a couple slots?
Okay. Oh, so like let's say 107. Let's just skip 106.
Yeah.
Assume it's in the same tier. So
It
for
is.
the
They're
107
side by side.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
I
for
will
the-
say, can I just, before we do move on though, I know we're not doing players that we would move for. If you want to take a shot on somebody rather than going and get a Sam Darnold, think about a Bryce Young. Just if you're going to flip a coin and you want to take a shot on an upside play, maybe have a look at Bryce Young.
Speaking of Bryce Young,
in points per game.
Speaking of Bryce Young,
that man was
107
running-
or Bryce Young.
Yeah, that's right around that
107.
range. I'm fine. I'm fine taking a shot at Bryce Young.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that dude was putting up points in bunches on the ground at the end of the year last year, Jacob.
Like the 107.
Unless you
Over
tell me
up
like,
to 40
unless
games
you're,
of little-
I'd take Loveland
little
over Bryce
quarterback.
Young, I guess. But
Yeah, I'll take a lot of dudes over Bryce Young.
Okay.
All right, Jacob's still the hater. I'm just saying, if you're going to take a shot, I'd rather take that shot.
Kyron Williams or the 107.
107.
We got asked this in the Discord today, if I'm
For
not
me, this is just
mistaken,
very
and I
flat
said
because
107.
I like a lot of the like, kind of like I was saying at the top. Like to me, it's very flat once you get to the 104 because the guys I'm not as high on in this class are Tet and Sanders, who I expect are probably the like consensus 104, 105 if we were drafting today. But the guys I really like in this class are like Loveland, Henderson, and Igbuka, who are probably more late first. So to me, this gets pretty flat.
Fair
Okay.
the
enough.
question was 107 or Kyron Williams. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm going 107 there.
So right now in drafts with rookies, Bryce Young basically gets drafted right beside the 7th rookie off the board. So it's right on par.
All right. Going
Just
to
to defend the take.
Going to do something a little bit more complicated here.
Okay,
107
let's do it.
or Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne, and Chris Olave.
Not that. I'll take 107. You lost me at Pacheco immediately, and then you didn't make up for it with the surprise Olave at the end. I'll take 107. Get that nesting doll wide receiver. Get this. Recycle him. Get him out. Get him out. Get him out.
So if you say Ryan, would you rather probably get Coulson Loveland on your team or have those players? I would say Coulson Loveland. So I will say 107. I will say from a value perspective, all of the ADP tells you should take that Olave package. I don't think in practice that you're actually trading all of those players for something much better than the 107. So yeah, I guess I just talked myself back into sticking with 107.
Fair enough on.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to move down just a little bit more on this. Going down
I
to
like
the
the
110.
complicated one. I like the complicated ones.
So going
Jordan, we
down,
got
Jordan
chat.
Love over
Jordan
107.
Love or the 107? I'll take Jordan Love.
Yeah,
Yes,
biggest Jordan
definitely.
Love hater here. Jordan Love over 107.
You're a Jordan Love hater, but you need him to be good for the dream of Dontavian Wicks becoming anything. Crazy work. You got to pray for both sides of that, Ryan. You can't have friction when you're looking for the dream.
All right, I'm moving down to the 110 here. All right, just because there's so many that are going to be really similar.
Again,
You're seeing the same
like we
players
said,
over and over again.
1.6 to 1.9 is a melting pot of. I mean, I believe I have it that way in the Dynasty Points trade tier chart, and we're at an hour and 40, so it's what we got to do.
Fair enough. Josh Jacobs are 110.
Josh Jacobs, easy smash,
Yeah.
smash.
I was expecting the 110 there. Okay.
Smash.
I'll give you like the cheat sheet. A guy that scores fantasy points, I'm probably taking over the 110.
Yes. Especially because, look, we can break it down like this. If you're a natural 110, that means you earn. When I say natural at the pick, that means you earn that pick. Your team finished third. You were good. You are good. Now, if you're like the 110, but your max points 4 was like you should have been the 104, I'm considering trading that pick or doing something else. But if your max points 4 was like 5th or 3rd, and like, I don't know, maybe instead of Josh Dobbs throwing the ball to George Kittle at the goal line to help you win the week, Josh Dobbs decided to run it in and it cost you the week or something. Like, that was the difference. Not taking that out of personal experience at all in a finals against Jacob. Jacob's muted here, but yeah, I'll take Josh Jacobs.
I've taken the 110.
Okay. 110 or Sam Darnold and Khalil Shakir.
You can buy a Josh Jacobs or an equivalent scoring running back with a late first in season, no problem at the trade deadline. The 110 is an opportunity to be like a first or second round startup pick. If you get a Brian Thomas or a Lad McConkey, that's not at all in Josh Jacobs' range of outcomes.
In most classes, I'd agree with you. This one, pretty brutal. I'll take Josh Jacobs. But anyway, what was this next one?
Oh, it was the 110 or Khalil Shakir and Sam Darnold.
I'll take the 110 because I'm hoping I can get Jackson Dart there.
Yeah, I guess the 110. Because, like, what's Shakir really?
Yeah.
But hey, he said that anyone who scores fantasy points, he's going to take over somebody at the 110. So I was trying to
Khalil
one by him.
doesn't really score fantasy points. Sorry, when I say score fantasy points, I mean like over replacement. Like he's going into an average lineup and improving it. I don't think that applies to Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, she's the worst wide receiver one in football.
All right, 110 or James Cook. I think that one's pretty obvious.
I'll take the 110. Okay.
So you guys would rather have Jacobs and Cook?
Yes. Jacobs fraudulent. His 16 fraudulent touchdowns carrying the workload on a with a contract year that's not paid. Touchdowns are the least sticky stat in the game, and we know that. A record-setting Bills offense and 16 rushing touchdowns from James Cook with okay pass work and not enough work on the ground. Nah, I'm good. Yeah. What did those 16 touchdowns get you really?
I think I'm taking Cook over.
The first man to visit the eastern coastline of Australia. You don't think he can find the end zone? You guys don't know you're explorers.
Sometimes I don't. I don't even know how to talk to you.
Sorry, Jacob. I'm American. I don't know like world history. I don't know what's going on.
Captain James Cook, world famous British explorer of the 1700s.
Yeah, they didn't. We were learning about American history and not even really that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he discovered Hawaii.
I'd take Cook over the 110. I am Jacobs over Cook though, because I'm just a lot more confident that Jacobs averages like 15 to 18 fantasy points per game this year than I am James Cook.
Same team that was starting to work in like Ty Johnson and Ray Davis more and more down the stretch too. Like he
had like a 45% snap share in the second half of the season.
Okay, you guys have
the playoffs. I will give you that. In the playoffs,
I'm
he let off and they played him a ton, and it was great. But that's
you guys have changed my mind to the 110 over Cook. I'm still Cook.
That one wasn't even close. What's his YouTube name? Christopher Columbus. Comment of the night. That's comment of the night. Phenomenal. Right. Oh my god.
And then for the 112, I'm just going to say this trade because I think it's outrageous, but apparently people are accepting it. Brian Thomas Jr. for the 112 and 206.
That's not a real trade. That's not a real trade.
Junior trade.
That's not a real trade.
I don't know. It's just one that I see. I just think it's ridiculous.
I know. That's not a real trade.
Ben Sinnott and Ricky Pearsall or the 112.
112. That's a little tighter with Pearsall. But
I'm doing Ben Sinnott and Ricky Pearsall there.
I'm indifferent. I'm taking Jacobs right of declining this both ways.
Okay. Christian McCaffrey or the 112?
McCaffrey.
Okay.
I'll take McCaffrey. I'm not afraid.
Sorry, I don't want to have like the Ricky. I do want to have the Ricky Pearsall fight.
There we go. Okay, here we go.
Haven't we had it enough? Haven't we had it like 3 episodes already?
I don't care how much you hate Luther Burden.
We're
If
gonna have
think
it
Luther
again.
Burden
Brett,
sucks, or
Brett Jones says Pearsall for
any of
112
them.
straight up.
All of these are better prospects than Pearsall, especially if any of these guys
Are
get.
they? Because the NFL took him in round 1, and they're going to take none of these losers in round 1.
They may take Burden in round 1. I don't. Have we like fully dispelled that at this point? I still
70% dispelled.
Is this a bet?
Okay.
Is this a draft night bet? Do we have a draft night
I mean,
bet?
if you want to give me even
Ooh.
money, Burden round 1 or round 2, I'll take the over 32.5 at even money.
No, I think it should be that if you all do this,
I don't think
bet-
it's impossible he goes round 1, but I think that it's less likely than not.
So I think if Burden goes round 1, because Jacob, you're saying he's not going to go round 1, correct?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like
Right.
outside the realm of
So
possibilities, but I
just
think
pitching
it's more
this.
likely he goes round 2.
If he goes round 1, then Ryan doesn't have to do his punishment drink. But if he goes round 1, he has to do
No,
the punishment
absolutely
drink
not.
twice.
No. You don't do a whole season worth.
I'm just
No,
throwing it
you
out
can-
there. It's
No.
just
Oh,
an
wait,
idea.
if both sides agree to this,
Unacceptable.
Thomas, are you
No.
really going to get in the way
No,
of our
I'm judge, jury, and
contract
execution
negotiations?
on this
All right,
program.
the key question is what day? This is all on day 3, right?
Yeah,
What,
we
our-
would know
our
by
show?
then.
Well, no, I'm saying that's like we're doing day 3. That's when he's drinking, right?
I believe so.
Because the funniest possible world is that we do a show on day 1. He drinks the entire time, and then Luther Burden gets picked with like the 32nd pick. and
That's
it's
why
like,
we're not.
Oh
We
yeah,
do
you can go and undrink those.
guys, we've always done day 1, day 2,
No,
and
we
day
didn't do-
3 coverage.
No, we didn't do it. Oh yeah, well,
We
we've
did.
done intermittent.
Yeah, we
Last-
did.
last-
The
last year it
drinks
was
were
like-
definitely on day 3 last year, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Last year we ran the whole
because
day.
I mean, we had to be, cognitive for day
Yeah.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not me
Right.
getting made fun of for loving Isaac Gorendo like I was on day 3 last year.
I
Right.
am down for that bet. I don't know if that's like a plus EV bet or whatever, but if we're going double or nothing on the god awful drink that Jacob
Yeah,
has
I'm
yet
good
to
to go double or
reveal
nothing on the drinks.
for Luther
I'm good to
Burden,
go
that's-
double or
that's
nothing on
kinda
drinks
fun
on
to me.
Luther
I'll do that
Burden,
just 'cause
over
it's
under
fun.
32.5. Yeah, let's do it.
Thomas, I'm sorry I even pitched that.
Ass. That's ass.
I mean, I don't know. Pearsall's he can do all of the yak stuff that Burden can do, except he actually runs routes.
Well, Theo says he can't outrun a bullet, so he isn't Superman. So
Well, that's true. He's certainly not Neo.
definitely not Neo.
I don't know. I think
Definitely not
I've become like radicalized into just being like a film guy at wide receiver. I feel like I end up hating all of the guys that all the analytics people like nowadays.
It's funny because you did
I
that
don't
with running backs too.
Yeah,
You started to
I-
become. You're just becoming. You know what? You're
Yeah.
You're like taking over
it's
for
true.
Oh my gosh, Noah Hills. You're just
I'm
taking
I'm
his
just a
spot.
natural. Really, what it is, I'm just a natural contrarian. So it's just whenever I hear anything, I just naturally want to take the other side.
That
so,
makes
like,
so much sense.
If everybody starts hating on Burden all the time, or starts like, or specifically Pearsall, like if people start loving Pearsall, then I'll go back to hating him. But I keep hearing so much bashing of Pearsall in my circles that I feel like now I need to like him more.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
hearing
definitely
bashing
a
because the
therapist.
rest of us are contrarians and we see the ADP going up. So you're really just the contrarian off of.
I
all
was
of the
with you
other
guys
contrarians.
like 2 weeks ago. That's what I'm saying. I'm generally out on Pearsall.
This is why I
Play a
call him
little
the
devil-
master
Just
flip
all I'm
flopper.
saying is sometimes the devil needs an advocate. You know, where I don't want to give in. I don't want
I'll
to give
say-
into the groupthink woke mind virus.
I'll just say this about
The
Pearsall
echo chamber.
and Burden. Burden's not on the 49ers and Pearsall is. And
How about
Shanahan
this?
is a
We haven't
money
even
maker.
seen Luther Burden play an NFL snap yet. That's always my favorite argument.
Yeah,
All
that
right,
one's funny
the,
too.
the 112 or Chris Godwin in a third.
Well, here's your chance to take people who score points, but I'll take the 112.
Hold on, I gotta check.
If you
I felt
asked
good
me
about that
pre-
one.
signing, I'd have said the 112. I think I feel good enough about Godwin and his health now. Like I think you're probably getting like
Yeah.
genuine wide receiver production above replacement for 2 to 3 seasons with Godwin.
Well, Chris Godwin goes ahead of the 112, so I'm gonna cop out and say I'll take Chris Godwin.
Oh, yeah. So you got to check the answer key.
Yes. Look,
Fair
you
enough.
cop out on this show for direct answers For 5 years. I'm cashing that chip in for one show. I deserve it. I work for this. Now, I'll just say in terms of like someone like Chris Godwin, he's definitely somebody you can go and acquire. Obviously, a lot of my teams were hurt the minute he got hurt because he was, top 5 S-type wide receiver. If someone were to tell me that no wide receiver put up one of Chris Godwin's best season in their entire career, I'd be like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. He's just legit good. And if you're worried about the injury, the team that knows the most about that injury gave him a new contract. So, I'll take Godwin there. And Dynasty Dave just said, wow, it's been 5 years. That is correct. We are officially entering our 5th NFL season with this podcast. So shout out to all you guys. Only year 3 on fantasy points, or like 2.5, because I think we joined like in season as an affiliate a couple years ago. Shout out
5.
It is we have reached that point. That means everyone listening has gotten a 2-hour long podcast. Okay, and if you want the 5 for 5, you have to go to YouTube. So that's going to be
what people need. They need more podcasts after 2 hours.
Yes, because 5 for 5 is the greatest game in fantasy football. Let's applaud Zaddy. This is the most he's spoken on a podcast in his run with us. So a big shout out to Zaddy. Did a phenomenal job. Zaddy, AJ Hawk, Gilbert. If you're wondering why AJ Hawk, stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. For our podcast listeners, we love you. We'll see you guys Saturday for Market Report. For everyone on YouTube, sit tight. You're not going to want to miss it.
6 seasons in a movie.
Jacob. Oh my gosh. All right. If you're new to 5 for 5, we have an update on the sheet. Obviously, you can see that I'm leading here with 2 wins in 2025. If you're new for 5 for 5, I am the defending champion of 5 for 5 as I won last year. Ryan Heath, who often hates Jacob's questions, does have 1 win, and Lucas Gilbert is the master of college football trivia only and has not had a win, kind of by default / the guess that we had last week. Max Toscano could not take down the tight end specific 5 for 5 that Jacob had planned. So Jacob, let's go over the rules real quick for anyone that doesn't know.
All right. So for everybody who doesn't know, including kind of Lucas, because the rules have changed a little bit this season, here's how we do the 5 for 5. I'm going to have 5 players in mind. I have 5 clues for each player. You get more points the faster you answer the question. We are now including the chat playing against these 3 this year in a more formal way. That means, number 1, chat, we're going to play this on the honor system. Okay, if you start getting too many suspiciously early, I'm going to start ignoring you. I'm going to start taking you out of contention for the game. Number 2, the way this works is that the chat cumulatively plays. Although I'm not going to X you if someone says it wrong. We let you guys kind of keep guessing it because of this big advantage that you guys have. The tie always goes to the actual contestant. So if you get it in the same round, even if the chat says it first, I'm going to notify everybody. I'm going to let them know the chat's got the right answer. They get 1 chance to actually get the point. If they fail, the point will go to the chat. All right. Here we go. Today, the theme is everybody knows that the true best sport watching experience of the year is March Madness. There are 16 teams remaining in college basketball's finest tournament coming up starting on Thursday. And so all of these players went to college at a school that is still remaining in March Madness.
Oh, God. I'm out. Lucas wins. I'm out.
It's really not that much of a clue. It's more just I need to figure out something to...
I've never watched a minute of March Madness. Not a minute.
I mean, I'm not asking you any questions about basketball.
I don't know the schools. I don't know any of it. We're gonna get a Gonzaga football player. I don't know.
Gonzaga didn't make the Sweet 16, bro. They lost to Houston.
See, there you go. That's how I touch. I'm busy. Look, Jacob, I don't take time off to watch March Madness. I am grinding content for our Dynasty Points subscribers all the time. I don't take time off.
Cool,
except that I MLB The Show a lot.
All right. This player was a 4th-round pick out of Duke University. I'm not going to give the schools for all these, but
4th round, you said? Sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Were there
Right.
NFL?
Don't want to take a shot?
What are the rules now on guessing? Have those changed?
Yeah, same as always. So if you guess and you're wrong, everybody who didn't guess gets to go before you the next round.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Well, I'll hold off then right now.
All right, everybody's passing.
In the
on which ones they're gonna do.
fourth round.
Yeah, we've also got nothing from the chat. All right, this player played for 3 NFL teams, all of which were in East divisions. So the AFC or the NFC East.
There's only like 2 players I know that went to Duke.
Okay.
Can I take a shot?
That you're always allowed to take a shot.
I know it's me. It's me. Like I know I'm asking, but I'm like
You're
it's
asking
me.
yourself. You're asking
Yeah.
yourself.
Is
Yeah.
it Jamison Crowder?
Correct for 4 points.
Damn.
That's why you
Wow,
take a shot.
that's impressive.
Jets,
You miss
Commanders,
100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, Tom Tipple.
Jets, Commanders, and
Bills.
he said Bills. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
All right, 4 points.
'Cause there's
for
only
Tom.
2
Chat didn't even
players-
get a guess off.
There's only,
Chat's
you know how I
getting-
know this? It's because I've used Jamison Crowder in Madden enough as my slot wide receiver that I've seen the school pop up before. The only other player I know from Duke is Daniel Jones, and he went
course.
way too early.
Yeah. Chat didn't even get a guess off. They're stuck. The full court press you put on them, they couldn't even get out of half court.
This is what happens. I always get one really early, and then I suck till the end.
All right. In
I had to
college,
minimize the chat.
in this player's best college season, he had 2,938 passing yards and over 1,300 rushing yards.
In his 3rd NFL college season?
Oh, I just said in his best college season.
Oh, okay.
But sure, I'll tell you. So it was his 2nd college season.
1,200 rushing yards? I don't know.
No guesses?
I don't know. Nope.
Nope.
All right. And I can tell you he didn't go to Duke, so that leaves 15 March Madness remaining schools on the board. All right. This player graduated college 7 years after graduating this player left college 7 years after graduating high school due to a church mission that he took between high school and college.
Where's Keith when I need him? Where's DeBaradox?
I mean, this does narrow
this should help
down the
give you the
school. Yeah.
Is it 1,200?
Chat just hit it, so you guys are going to need to guess.
Is it Steve
1,200.
Young?
Not Steve Young.
Is it Taysom Hill?
Sorry, chat. Tom gets to 8 points. Taysom Hill.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Keith.
Dang.
I was like, it's not Zach Wilson. There's no way he had 1,200 rushing.
Thank you,
yards.
DeBaradox.
He wasn't in school that long.
I love you. We've talked about Taysom Hill so much as I'm learning about Mormonism. It's awesome.
All right.
I didn't
0
think
points
it would
to
ever
Lucas.
help me.
Shout out Brett Jones in the chat. He did get it immediately after the second question, but Tom gets the tiebreaker. So we're at zeros all around, but the Church of Latter-day Tom moves in at 8
I
points.
love that. I'm getting a T-shirt of that.
All right. Okay. This player played for 2 teams still in the Sweet 16 with a stint at Hutchinson Community College in between them.
Oh, I got this last time, but I don't know Hutch. So I'll pass here.
It's Alvin Kamara.
Lucas for 5 points gets the Vols question.
You
Way to go.
Tennessee.
I stood no chance on this. Like, not that I stand a chance in most
Thank you,
5-5s,
Jacob.
but this is clearly not.
And he was at Alabama originally before going there.
Yes. This is. I'll just get. These
Oh, I
stats
didn't
are,
think of
are
that.
Good not to use. So other fun Alvin Kamara stats. Despite having 7 RB1 fantasy seasons, he's never had a 1,000-yard rushing season in the NFL, and did not lead his college in carries in any of his college seasons.
I think I'd have gotten it on both of those, but yeah, that's damn.
All right. We got 2 guys left. Lucas at 5. Thomas at 8. All right.
Insane.
This player is a 2-time Doak Walker Award winner.
Oh, that's a tough one to get.
Ryan has a face that says, "What the fuck is the Doak Walker Award?" You little bitch.
That might be exactly what my face is right now.
Yeah.
And I was thinking my face is showing that right now, and I wonder if Jacob is going to call that out. But yes, you are correct.
There couldn't have been that many.
All right, I'm going guess.
I'm hearing way too many.
You guys both said things at the same time. Okay, I heard Lucas say I'm going to guess first, so I'm going to give him the first guess.
Is it Derrick Henry?
Incorrect. What did you say, Tom?
I'm saying a 2-time Doak winner. There can't be that many of them.
Oh, you didn't say a name also?
No.
Okay, sorry. You guys talked at the exact same time. I thought you both said
My bad.
Okay.
I was distracted by the clicking of Lucas's keyboard, suspiciously
All right.
looking up
Does anyone
answers.
want to guess, or do you want to exclude College Man Lucas from guessing before you next round?
I will. I'll take that. I'll take the
All right.
advantage.
Okay, so Lucas can't guess, so both of you guys guess this round. All right. This player had 2 1,000-yard NFL seasons with 5 years in between them. And I've just seen, I think they probably got it on the first clue because they said it like right as I was reading the second clue, but I'm going to give them credit as getting it the second clue. So you guys have to get it here or it's going to the chat.
2,000-yard seasons with 5 years in between.
Wait. 2-time Doak.
And Lucas, since the chat's already got it, I will let you participate if Tom and Ryan don't get it. You're not totally screwed.
5 years in between is kind of crazy.
Darren McFadden?
Yes, Ryan. There you
Let's
go.
go.
That
He
is
won it
good.
twice.
Oh,
Doug
I'm
Walker?
so
Yeah.
upset that I didn't get
I
that
forgot.
one. Oh. See, I limited myself to active players.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Ryan.
okay, like running back that
Good job.
probably got drafted way too high and forced touches early in his career
So
and wasn't that good, and then benefited from an injury later in his
Raiders and who?
and McFadden
Cowboys.
stepped into my
He
mind.
had that crazy year when Zeke was
Yeah,
suspended.
when Zeke got hurt.
Yes.
He was
Yeah.
Suspended, right. One of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that was a good one, Ryan.
Damn. Well done.
Showed at MTM Revolt. He almost certainly got it on the first question because I think I was like only halfway through saying the second clue when he said it, but I guess his internet's a little slow. So sorry to MTM Revolt, but so 8 points for Tom, 5 for Lucas, 4 for Ryan. It is anybody's game going into the double points final round. And because participants win tiebreakers, chat, you're gonna have to get this on the first one. All right.
And that's like 3 times tonight, so I will be
This
suspicious
player-
if it happens.
Okay. This player appeared for 7 different NFL teams in 8 different cities in a period of 11 years, throwing at least one pass in every one of those seasons. I want to give the chat a chance here to get on the first
Hold
clue. So I
on.
gave them a lot of information. I gotta combine
Throwing
2
at
clues.
least one pass, and
let
it
me-
was 8
so-
teams.
7 teams in 8 cities over an 11 season period, and he threw at least one pass every year.
Ryan Fitzpatrick?
That is incorrect.
Good guess.
Harvard didn't make the Sweet 16, bro.
Oh, what?
I don't know. bracket.
Hey, we've already knocked out like 5 of the teams. There's only 11 left.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to guess Case Keenum.
Lucas, welcome to the winner's circle.
Oh my God.
Yes, yes.
University of
Yes.
Houston Cougars.
Oh. I'd like to say 1 for 1.
That was
So right
pretty
now,
sweet.
winning percentage wise,
I assume that this would have become obvious, but the second clue, which is like one of the funniest stats, is that Case Keenum holds the following records: most career completions in college, most career passing yards in college, most career passing touchdowns, most career games of 300 passing yards, most games of 300 passing yards in a single college season, most seasons passing for at least 5,000 yards, most seasons passing for at least 4,000 yards, and most career total yards.
I thought Dylan Gabriel passed him this year for most career passing touchdowns.
Oh, he might have passed him for a couple. It's possible Wikipedia hasn't updated for Dylan Gabriel, but he has at least all the rest of those.
I've run out of stuff to throw.
Why don't you go edit that Wikipedia article, Lucas? You can get in there in the trenches
Yeah,
with the Wikipedia editors.
Oh,
Yeah.
what does the graphic say? The knower of college football only. Damn, I thought Ryan.
No, that wasn't even a college question. That wasn't even a college question.
I know,
I
but
said
it just
17
didn't make it. But you said,
Lucas is
I'm
just
thinking-
running through his mind of Sweet 16 teams. That's.
I'm thinking Harvard. Ryan Fitzpatrick would have been. It's a logical answer to a question like that, and then I'm just like, oh, damn, no, Lucas, you got it. Now you are allowed your victory speech here as we lead our way out. I've become accustomed to making, but it's neither here nor there. The floor is
I'm
yours.
just going to say it's really good to be back. So it's nice to have this little dedicated time at the end here to remind you all of how amazing I am on my first show back in a very, very long time. I have truly missed being able to spend my Tuesday nights with you all. There is a very, very real world outside of like what we're doing on our computer screen right now and what we're able to talk to our audience about. And that's like the best thing about fantasy football is we're here to kind of escape that. Also, then just like have fun, like have this hobby that brings all these awesome people together. Like our chat was amazing tonight. I have greatly missed this, and I love seeing my name in there. Although I do talk sometimes. I don't just leave myself muted for a lot of the time. And then also just like the humor and everything, just like I said, being able to spend my Tuesday nights with you all, I've really missed it. And it's great to come back on a winning note. It'll probably be the only one I win this entire month, seeing how this is March 25th. So it will be the only one I win this month, and we'll try to bring it back next month.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
when we see you next month, the Vols are going to be in the Final Four.
Yeah,
Oh, dude. If that happens and April 7th rolls around, hold on. I think, why is the national championship on? Okay, no, we're fine. I was about to say April 7th, I'm still partying into April 8th, hardcore. So I might not be here. We'll figure something out, though. That, or it'll be a very colorful, very orange me on the show.
we did. We have one. We have a question.
I want to dedicate this 5 for 5 to Zakai Ziegler, Igor Milicic, Felix Akpara, Jemai Mashak, Chaz Lanier, Jordan Gainey. Bring it home, please.
As we sign off here, we have Brandon's question at $4.99 on the super chat at 12 teams to flex PPR league. He has the 102. He was offered the 104 for Montgomery and Reed. He said he has Mixon, Aaron Jones, JK, and Tracy at RB. He's taking Ted at 2. I'll take 104 here pretty easily. Monty and Reed are 104 pretty easily.
It's super flex,
Yeah,
PPR.
104.
Yeah, 104.
Yeah. Like I said, we hit our questions.
I don't know about Ted at 2 there, Jim.
I mean, what's the difference? He's pushing a guy back to 104 for himself anyway. But yeah,
I just don't think Hampton's gonna
probably could take Hampton. But yeah,
we had all those conversations earlier in the podcast. I'll just say this: the team is back. We are whole once again, and that feels good. Remember that this game is fun, like Lucas said. Remember that the market report comes out Saturday morning. All we do is talk trades and drafts and values. Don't miss it. Remember, when you're done listening to this podcast, if you're still listening or you came over from the podcast section, or if you're on YouTube, go and check out Fantasy Football Daily for the Fantasy Points team 6-person complete 3-round mock draft. It was a lot of fun recording. Would love comments on that on Spotify specifically. If you're listening, please go to Spotify and leave a comment. It helps us just like it does on YouTube, where you can also leave a comment after the episode. With all that being said, remember there's only one place for you guys to be on your Tuesday nights, and it is here with us. We aren't here without you guys. Chat, you were unreal tonight. That's why we love you. Remember that clear eyes and full hearts can never lose, and your best days, I promise you, are always spent tilting. Good night, and we'll see you next time.
What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.